So Jay, recently, ahead of his highly anticipated appearance on the Roots Picnic and upcoming 30th anniversary concert at Yankee Stadium, Jay-Z sat down for an interview with GQ. Among the topics that were addressed during his one-on-one was his thoughts on the Kendrick Lamar and Drake 2024 rap feud and kind of his ideas on battling. So let's play this video.
It's wild. It's been 2 years, man.
Hasn't it?
Yeah, and we're still talking about it.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And the last pillar is battling. We love the excitement. And I love the sparring and the music you get. Mm-hmm. But in this day and age, it's so much negative stuff that comes with it that you almost wish it didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah, because it's almost like it's a final thing. Now, people that like Kendrick hate Drake.
Yeah.
No matter what he makes, no matter what he says, and it goes far too. It's like attack on his character and his thing, and it's like, I don't know if I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's helpful to our growth. Too far.
Yeah.
It's like bringing kids in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't like that. You know, maybe I've grown in a space that is probably, I sound like the old guy wagging the thing. But I think we can achieve the same thing as far as like sparring with music, with collaborations more so than breaking the whole thing apart.
Yeah.
It could stand it before because there was no social media and there was no thing. And, you had the battle and it was fun and then you moved on.
Right.
Right now, I don't know if it could stand it with the technology that we have.
Because it takes up so much oxygen.
It takes up so much oxygen.
Yeah.
And now it's just like every day they're just trying
they're
to
still talking about it.
It's not just talking about it. Not like, yo, this song I like this.
Yeah.
No, it's like trying to tear down the people's life.
Yeah.
It's like trying to wreck this guy's marriage or this guy's relationship with his child. And it's like, I don't know if it's worth it at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you think? Has battling reached the end?
I don't think so. And the way that Jay talks about it, he acts like he doesn't come from an era with two of the biggest MCs at the time both met their demise from rap battles or beef, so to speak. Granted, that's not...
Isn't that what he's kind of saying, though?
No, he's saying that it's in a place that's worse.
Oh, right. So you're saying it's not worse than what it was.
It's not...
Yeah.
I feel like...
I see what you're saying.
I feel like there's not... I always like to bring up morals and things of that nature, but like morally, some of the things that were addressed in the battle maybe should have been left off of the table. Now, I agree with that part of it, but nothing is as final as death. So we lost two of the greatest MCs to death during a battle which was a East Coast, West Coast beef. Although there was artists on the East Coast and West Coast that rock with each other, it was still deemed the East Coast, West Coast beef because of back then paper print and TV. All right, so now it's evolved into, of course, everything can happen on the net. We're fed these things a lot faster, instantly. As soon as something happens, we know about it, and we can have our own say in it too. So, like as far as feeding the monster, I agree from that point of view. Excuse me, but like as far as it being worse than it was, I don't agree with that. Now, if people are continuing to side with this artist and that artist based on how they feel and so-called burying the artist, at the end of the day, these are very rich individuals that will be okay and are still around to still do their art form that they were put here to do. Now, until something happens to where they can no longer do that based on what happened during the beef, I'm not totally against what happened. You know what I'm saying? Now, if people come to grips with a battle should just be left on, this is what it is, that has no bearing on the consumers that take it somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like back then when Tupac and Biggie died, it was fueled by the media. Now, everybody can be considered the media because everybody is feeding it every single day. So I don't think it's on the artist if they have a disagreement with each other that they can't address it because of what other people are going to think about it.
Do you think maybe there's more of a responsibility for artists nowadays as opposed as there was then because of everything that's heightened?
I mean, to a certain extent, but again, I feel like as long as they follow like the moral code of the battle, like OGs you shouldn't mention kids, you shouldn't mention other family members should be just left at this is me and you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Other than that, I mean, even Jay-Z in his battle with Nas, he mentioned leaving condoms on a baby seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now his mom is the one that told him, "Hey, that's not cool.
Yeah, too far.
You went too far with this," and he got on the radio and essentially apologized for that particular song, but he didn't wipe the beef totally off. You know what I'm saying? That was
No,
a
that
moment.
wasn't the end. Yeah.
That wasn't the end. That was a moment to where they both came out on stage on the I think it was the I Declare War show. But like Nas was still addressing Jay-Z on Godson and on what was the other album? The double album.
Street's Disciple.
He's still addressing that
Jay was
beef.
still addressing Nas on Blueprint too.
He was still they both were addressing each other. You know what I'm saying? So Jay, being one of the persons that came from one of the top 3 battles of all time in hip hop, he's showing growth as far as feeling like it's going too far. But he's also 50 some odd years old and his content is a lot different now. And I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day.
That was my point right there. Like, this is the first time we get perspective from somebody at 50-year-old that lived through a battle and actually is able to reflect on what they did and some of the things that they said in the battle and how things played out. You know what I mean? And people that got involved, et cetera, et cetera. And there's probably some regret there. Some of the things that they said and some of the things that they put out. I think what happened between Drake and Kendrick is Jay and Nas just on steroids. You know what I mean? It's
in a social media era.
Yeah, you know, it's the exact same thing. It's just it played out differently. So me being 50s, and I'm not 50, but you know, I'm closer to 50 than I am 30. There would be some regret in some of the things that I did probably at that time. You know what I mean? So I don't fault either one of them. You know what I mean? It's just an elder statesman giving his point of view on what happened. Now, is he able to say that it's done and it's over? No, I don't believe that he can really say that for himself because there's always going to be some beef. I think we need somebody like him to say something because I think, for instance, if Youngboy was to get into a beef with somebody, he could easily go, oh, hell, beef with Dirk and whoever the hell he was beefing with.
That was beefing with somebody right now.
Yeah, there was lives lost in that. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, I'll cut my granny off if she don't see it how I see it. Kendrick's 38 years old.
Yeah.
Kendrick isn't as old as Jay-Z or young as Jay-Z was when him and Nas were doing this. They were at least, 10 years
There's
younger?
about 30 because
30-ish,
remember
right?
Nas had you 30 and you doing Tybo.
He's 36 in a Karate
Yeah,
Cat.
Tybo, something like, yeah.
That's still one of the funniest
that's
lines
true.
to me.
Yeah.
Tybo ho. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like, I feel like at 38 years old, 36 years old, 37 years old,
It's around the same, yeah.
You've been through life enough at that point to kind of know who you are to some degree. And I feel like when Kendrick said the things that he said, at least from Kendrick's perspective, all of this seems valid to me. I don't think he went too deep. I don't think he cut too hard.
No,
I think
he gave Drake exactly what he asked for.
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
you know,
I think Drake's thing was, Jay's point is that song where he was talking to his son.
Yeah,
and he was
I
telling
think that
him,
was respectable because he didn't have any ill will towards his son.
He didn't, but
and he also to the other point I was talking about, the whole author dude. I don't know why I can't.
Michael Eric
Dyson. He called his son a black man in that song.
I get all of that, but how would you feel if somebody went to your child and told your child, "Hey, your daddy a bitch"?
Hey,
maybe his daddy is a bitch. I think it just kind of depends. Hey, I don't know. Obviously Jay-Z is Jay-Z, but like, which he also mentioned in this interview. But I don't know, Jay. What do you say?
I mean, I'm conflicted because once again, I am that person that is knocking on 50. And, just like when we talked about last week about how some of these rappers need to let that beef go. I see it from a different perspective. It's like, you're all rich, You in here trying to talk about, a certain level of street politics, and it's like, dude, you're all getting car service when you get off of this plane, and you are going to pay for your kids, private school tuition, and you make sure your HOA so you can keep your gated community steadily gated.
These people are richer than gated communities.
Yeah, so exactly, and so it's sometimes it's hard for me to, still engage with certain things when I know like these are rich people's problems, and you really don't have these problems like you think you do, So I understand what Jay-Z's I do understand where Jay-Z's coming from, because it's like, okay, it was good for that weekend or that couple of weeks where we were so engaged, but was it good for the culture overall? Did it actually perhaps do some damage to this thing that we call hip hop?
I don't feel like it hurt.
Like cleansing.
And now to me, there's part of me was like, hey, it was like, when you pulled back the curtain, you saw Oz, and he's not really a dude that can send you back to Kansas. He's just, a dude with some
mortal,
some special effects, and it's not really a lot he can do when you think about it. So I'm conflicted because I can go back and forth between all of these things because I care about the culture, and I see where like some of these things are not, are actually detrimental to the culture, and we need to stop. We need to call people to the carpet for their horseshit. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, well, maybe we go too far? We like, okay, yeah, you basically pulling somebody aside and saying, yeah, your daddy's a piece of shit. Is that too far?
We talked about that man's wife.
Yeah, but and
said that his best friend was
but
really
at the same
his child's father. So
Kendrick did say, don't tell no lies about me. I won't tell the truth about you.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes that's your warning to stop.
Yeah.
And you didn't take the warning, so you got
everything you asked for.
You got everything you asked for.
Well, what do you think about the idea of battling reaching the end? Do you think it's reached
this
its
whole
peak?
battle leagues.
Because this is hip hop, and there will always be battles. There will always be people who may not mess with each other on a personal level, and it's going to make it onto maybe not wax, because that's not really what's done these days, because it reaches the internet is wax.
It's going to end up in MP3.
Yeah, it's going to wind up streaming now, because people get clearances to go ahead and make their songs that are beef related. But yeah, I don't think that's never going to stop. There's always going to be people in hip hop who are from the east side of somewhere and the west side of somewhere else.
I think Jay's point when he was saying it, though, because we just played a clip of it and we didn't play the whole thing. I think his point is that it's been corporatized. You know what I mean? Is that, if that's a word, I don't know. But
or corporatized.
Yeah. Hip hop beef prior to this, it was just some street shit. You know what I mean? It was, you put out regular tracks, you put out these tracks, they get played in clubs, et cetera, et cetera. We've never seen it on this grand of a stage where somebody's at the Super Bowl playing a diss song about an artist. You know what I mean? So when he's saying that it's dead, I think it's just the corporate is coming here into hip hop battles now, and it's turned it into something that's completely that it never was before.
Yeah,
I think he was more so.
So to that point too, he also mentioned in there, he's like, well, when you think about graffiti, and he's like graffiti or breakdancing, he's like, that's not really a part of hip hop anymore.
Yeah, he talked about it being an Olympic
graffiti is
sport.
not really a part of it. I mean, sure, it's great. You know what I mean?
It evolved into Keith Haring and Basquiat.
Sure.
Yeah.
And same with DJing. It's kind of the same. He mentioned about, the DJ used to be in the front, and then, the MC was part of it. But so I think with that context, that's where the whole kind of framing came from, to where he was saying, well, MCing and battling came from the same thing. Battling came from that nature. Kind of. I kind of agree with him. Don Will had something that he said that was actually, I think, I have it saved here.
Don Will.
Don Will from Tanya Morgan.
Yeah, okay.
And, yeah, but he said, Jay-Z saying battling shouldn't be a part of the culture anymore, about to dominate every conversation. But I hope somebody clarifies that battling wasn't an element pillar of hip-hop. It was a means to sort the talents of people practicing the elements.
There we go.
Breaking, DJing, MCing, graffiti to a lesser extent had battles involved, but battling wasn't the main thing, which I agree with.
Touche.
So,
Great point,
Of
Mister.
a test your mic type of situation.
Yeah, and that's
It's
what
like,
it always was. Like, how good
Yeah,
are you?
right.
You know, it wasn't, I mean, when I was coming up, like, sure, there was battling and stuff, but it wasn't never like if I would get on a record with somebody that was a top tier lyricist or something, like, we are going to just try to
out-rap each other.
Out-rap each other. You know, it wasn't necessarily like this angry thing at each other. You know, don't get me wrong, that exists. But
The angry spoken words that sometimes
Yeah.
we see as,
Yeah.
you know, as
But-
the nouveau riche of battling, if you will.
But I feel like battling in the sense of what Don Will is talking about was more so what it was built on, not necessarily the, hey, I don't like you. Let me, let me attack you from this angle, you know, East versus West, even though that has kind of always existed,
Yes.
you know, so.
Yes, but like even like the whole "I'm better than you" was about you're the top person on the totem pole.
Yeah.
So in order for me to be revered in the same thing as you or looked at as somebody on your same level, I have to bow to you essentially.
I have to be better than you.
I have to be better than you. And then what Jay was saying is collaborations is where it should exist.
Yeah.
So what you were saying as far as if you get on a song with somebody, of course I'm gonna try to out rap you. But I don't feel like the essence of if somebody is on top, I shouldn't gun for that position because it's always been a part of hip hop. Now, I also think he touched on a lot too of the element of social media and how it takes different legs because social media is involved and you're not waiting on a print. You're not waiting on a Source magazine next month to tell you what the next information is.
This interview dropped today.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It dropped today and we're already having a conversation about it. You don't have to wait on that anymore. So I think he was alluding to there's so many voices being involved in what's going on that it's taking a different meaning. And also, I mean, you have a whole court case going on about a rap battle that happened. Those are the elements that should not exist or shouldn't have been considered in a rap battle.
Yeah.
And I feel like that may be what he's touching on. But as far as it being worse than it was before, nobody has lost their lives. I mean,
Yeah, that's fair.
even in rap battles where it wasn't as good as these rap battles, you had situations to where one of T.I.'s homeboys got killed.
Phil.
You had a situation where what's his name? Jeezy's homeboy got killed. You know what I'm saying? There's always affiliates that get killed based on a beef that's deeper than just a rap beef. So I feel like this is healthy that it was left up to just the music, essentially.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? That I don't feel like is a bad thing. If you get to talking about things that go on outside of the music and how it you know what I'm saying, elevated to where it's not even about the music anymore, that's a different story. You know what I'm saying?
But couldn't you argue that this battle kind of turned into that, just not physical violence?
Yeah, I could, but at least nobody's lost their lives.
Sure.
And everybody is still very well off monetarily that was involved in this battle. And I feel like regardless of how we feel about how successful Drake's music has been versus how successful Drake's has been since that battle, there's still two successful artists that it doesn't matter if they never drop another thing for the rest of their career, they're still going to be well off.